What's good, everybody? I'm BPC, and welcome to Competitive Origins MMA. Well, Leon Rocky Edwards was set to face off against Khamzat Chimaev in the Octagon on December 19th. But unfortunately, COVID struck and Leon Rocky Edwards tested positive for COVID-19. He got really sick, he lost a whole bunch of weight, and he was just unable to make the card. Well, the UFC rescheduled the fight for January 20th, and everybody was super excited about this bout. Well, COVID-19 struck again, and Khamzat Chimaev actually contracted the sickness and basically was unable to get recovered in time for him to train properly to face off against Leon. Well, the UFC decided, you know what, we're not giving up on this fight just yet. We're going to reschedule it for March 13th. And that's exactly what the UFC did. Well, it turns out the fight has officially been canceled. That's right. Dana White was talking to ESPN and basically said that, Khamzat Chimaev is still suffering from COVID-19 lingering effects. And my guess is that he's just not able to train like as he needs to put himself in, Borz mode, if you want to use that terminology. He's just not ready yet. He still hasn't recovered from it. He's still not able to train properly to get him where he needs to be if he wants to actually beat Leon Rocky Edwards. That's just what it is. So I'm starting to feel like this is turning out to be like Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov and Tony El Cucuy Ferguson. The UFC tried to make this matchup on numerous occasions, and if it wasn't Khabib dropping out, it was Tony dropping out. It just kept going back and forth, back and forth. It happened multiple times. But one thing the UFC did do, which I applaud them on, was they moved on from it, and then at a later date, they would revisit it. And of course, it never got to the point where they actually got to have the fight, which is very unfortunate. But I think it's time for the UFC to start thinking of, thinking beyond this fight, because as it looks, it's looking like, holy crap, like, are we ever going to see these two guys actually get into the octagon? If one's pulling out and then the other's pulling out, it's just happening. I think, as far as this fight's concerned, there's actually two problems that need to be addressed. And I'll talk about those two problems in just a minute. But first, I want to point out the three problems that you guys at home are currently having. And the first is that you probably haven't subscribed to Competitive Origins MMA yet. But if you have, I applaud you. The second is you have to make sure to hit that bell. If you haven't hit the bell yet, you're not going to be notified on a daily basis when our videos go live. And third, you need to make sure to hit the like button on this video. Now, getting back to the two problems, revolving around this fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Rocky Edwards. And the first is that the UFC keeps booking Khamzat in this fight even though he is not ready yet. I don't know if Khamzat's saying he's ready or if it's the UFC saying, well, he has COVID, he'll recover quickly, and he'll be ready to go. We all have to understand that COVID, affects everybody differently. Some people could be asymptomatic and not even know they even have it. We have people that have a little cough and then they get through it. We have people that get really sick and have lingering effects, and then we have people that pass away. Obviously Khamzat Chimaev is somebody that has gotten it, and he has the lingering effects, and it's just not going to go away. Usually when a fighter breaks his arm, the UFC doesn't just book him, oh, you're going to be ready in 8 months. You're going to be ready to go. They don't do that. They let the person recover. They let them get a clean bill of health, and then they proceed forward to book them in the fight. But because they want Khamzat Chimaev to face off against Leon Rocky Edwards so badly, they're willing to just say he'll recover, he'll be back, and then we'll book it. Now, obviously, I'm speculating. This is what I think the UFC is doing, or it has to be Khamzat. It's one of these two individuals that's saying, like, let's make the fight on this day. At the end of the day, that's the only two people that can be making this decision. Now, the second issue is that the UFC, like I said before, is trying to fast-track Khamzat Chimaev. And by fast-tracking him, they need him to get a victory over a top contender in order to push him into a championship bout in the near future. And Leon Rocky Edwards just happens to be the perfect candidate. As we know, he had not fought in a very long time, and he wasn't accepting any fights, unless there was somebody higher than him. And it turns out the UFC, pulled him out of the rankings, which then forced him into a fight, and all of a sudden he's now taking on this fight with Khamzat Chimaev. That's just how I see it. I think you guys see it the same way, but if not, feel free to go in the comment section and let me know how you see it. But that's how I'm seeing it, okay? Now, with that being said, if Leon doesn't make it to the fight, you know, they could always have Khamzat fight somebody else, but they don't want that because they want him over a high-ranking contender. Now, if Khamzat pulls out, well, they don't want Leon to fight somebody else because if Leon takes a L, he might drop down the rankings, and then Khamzat doesn't have somebody to compete with, right? At least somebody that's in a higher ranking that's going to help propel him into a championship fight. But at the end of the day, we have to stop holding Leon or Khamzat back. These are the two issues. Like I said, the UFC needs to book him when he's ready, and two, they need to move forward with one of these individuals if they're ready to fight and just let it fight out and let it play out. It does nobody any justice by letting this fight linger on and on and on and on. This fight was supposed to happen last year, and now we're in a brand new year, and it's still not taking place. Now, of course, this is over the course of like 4 months, but you get the hint. Now, here's my solution, because when you point out the problems, it's always good to have a solution for these problems. Well, I'm saying, screw it. Let's just go ahead and book the fight. Now, I know you're thinking, well, if Khamzat's not going to be ready yet, why are you saying this is contradictory to what you just said, BPC? And then somebody else is going to say, well, they already booked it 3 times. Why even waste our time? And I completely understand all of you guys when you say that. But hear me out. I say book the fight and then also announce it with an alternative, you know, an alternate. Basically, therefore, we can say if one of these two do not make it to the dance, this alternate will step in and we will deliver a fight to you guys at home. Because at the end of the day, us fans are losing out as well. We've become so invested in this fight. We're waiting such a long time for this fight to take place. And then we get, oh, it's canceled. Oh, shoot. Okay, oh, it's canceled. Oh, shoot. Oh, it's canceled. It just keeps happening and happening. Like, I have made so many videos on this fight being canceled. It's absolutely ridiculous. I need to have a playlist, you know, the Khamzat and Chimaev, Leon Edwards playlist, in which it's cancel, cancel, cancel. But as far as, you know, how it goes, I say we have the alternate, you know, fill in if need be. Now, because they put an alternate, maybe these two will actually both make it to the dance. You know, that's, you know, how things work at times. Now, the winner of this fight, say the alternate has to jump in, the winner between Leon in the alternate or Chimaev in the alternate, you know, will face off against the individual that backed out at a near, you know, down the road, or we just move on from there. But that's how I kind of see it. And if the alternate doesn't have to jump in, well then, you know, between these two, they move on to greater glory. Now, as far as who the possible alternate could be, well, I think it's doubtful that we're going to get Colby Covington to step into that fight. And I don't see Jorge Gamebred Masvidal wanting, you know, to jump into that fight either. I think they only want to fight upwards. They want to fight for the title, honestly. So they're actually in talks to fight each other, but that's been stalling out for an extremely long period of time. So I just don't even know what's going on with those two individuals. Now, the maybes. I think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson could be a maybe. You know, he did want to fight, you know, Leon Rocky Edwards. He wasn't really interested in fighting Khamzat Chimaev, and that's understandable. He didn't want to fight somebody that was lower ranked than him. He wanted to move upwards, but then it's like, all right, well, then Leon Rocky Edwards can say, well, I didn't want to fight Stephen Wonderboy Thompson because he was below me. So at the end of the day, nobody wants to fight anybody because everybody's below somebody. That's just how it is. There's never going to be somebody, you know, in the fight that's equal. You know, there's always going to be one's ranked number 3, one's ranked number 4. You know what I mean? Or so forth. You know, there's never anybody's going to have, he's ranked number 3 and he's ranked number 3. So somebody has to fight somebody underneath them. At the end of the day, the challenger has to fight somebody that's ranked underneath. I mean, the champion has to fight somebody that's ranked underneath them. That's just how it is. Okay, so then we have who could be the possible yeses. Well, I think Michael Chiesa would be interested in that because this would help propel him to get, you know, to the contenders. You know, he wants to be a contender. He wants to get, you know, be fighting for the title by the end of the year. So I think he would definitely take an opportunity to fill in this fight. I think Neil Magny is also another individual that would love an opportunity to hop in this fight. As we all know, Neil Magny said that he wants to smack, you know, Khamzat Chimaev. And he said on site, next time he sees him, he's going to smack him. Well, what perfect way to go ahead and smack Khamzat Chimaev in the octagon? It is what it is. Now, then we have Jeff Neal. I think Jeff Neal, after losing to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, you know, where he's currently ranked, I think he would love an opportunity to move up the rankings. And I think jumping in this high-profile match would definitely help him out, you know. So there you go, guys. These are the 3 individuals that I think that could possibly fill in as the alternate. Like I said, Wonderboy Thompson is the maybe, and, you know, Colby Covington and Jorge Gamebred Masvidal probably are not the individuals that are going to be willing to step up. But that's how I kind of see it. If we want to go ahead and try to get this fight to come to fruition. But at the end of the day, I do think they should book it. And like I said, follow through with my game plan, my solution, and how I see it going. Now, go into the comment section below and let me know what you guys think about my theory on the actual problems that are evolving around this fight. And what do you think about my solution? You know, who do you think out of those fighters that I mentioned should be the alternate going into this fight if they were to try to set these guys up once again? And do you think that, you know, if whoever wins between, you know, one of these individuals and the alternate, you know, whoever wins out of that bout should face off against the individual that backed out, or they should just move on to greater glory? Let me know what you think about that too. Don't forget to go to competitiveorigins.com, type in promo code MMA80 so you can get 10% off this Competitive Origins no matter what t-shirt. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. I'm BPC, and remember, you've been competing since conception, whether you're competing against yourself or others. Competitive Origins.